Hey, my name is Mike Martin. I'm a scientist at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and I'm standing in the facility that I do my science. It's called the Advanced Light Source. It's a large accelerator, and so if you start to look around behind me here, it is a rather big facility. It's about the size of a football field, and we accelerate electrons around a big circle. And so this is basically a circular building. And then from those electrons, we create light. And so mostly this is light you cannot see, like X-rays, ultraviolet, and infrared light. We do create some light that you see as well in the visible spectrum. But we do a lot of science here with X-rays, doing lots and lots of different types of science. We're what's called a user facility. And so we have scientists from all around the world who will come and do their experiments with somebody like me. I'm one of about 50 different scientists here that help run the beam lines, we call them, these places that take the light off of this accelerator and do lots of different types of spectroscopies, microscopies, imaging, lots of other ways of looking at interesting different types of samples. So let me walk down to one of the beam lines and answer some of the questions that you guys posed. So this is one of the beam lines at the facility I work at the Advanced Light Source. This is an X-ray beam line, and so that pipe that's right behind me is carrying the X-rays from the accelerator all the way down to at what we call an end station. It's where the experiment actually happens in this very complicated looking thing behind me. So the first question you guys asked is, what kind of education did I need to get started in this career? So I have a PhD in physics. What that means is that I finished my high school. I went to UC San Diego as an undergraduate as a physics major. I then went to Stony Brook in New York, Stony Brook University, where I got my PhD in physics. While I was there, I worked at a similar but older facility at Brookhaven National Lab on Long Island, New York, that was called the National Synchrotron Light Source, and I did a little bit of my PhD work there. So I was working on physics materials, so these new types of materials at the time, trying to understand them better, and I used the infrared light that came out of a synchrotron like this one. Then I ended up continuing my career working at another big facility, doing neutron scattering, and then I came to the Advanced Light Source about 25 years ago, and I've been running beam lines and doing science here ever since. So one of the other things you guys asked is, what does a typical day in my life look like? So today, it's actually a little quiet here because we're not running for users today. We're not actually running the accelerator. We're doing some maintenance work on the accelerator today. So there are other people working on doing that maintenance, and the beam line, like the one I'm standing at here, doesn't have anybody busily doing science at it. Usually, my day would consist of coming in, checking on the scientists who are using a beam line like this one, and talking with them, making sure that their experiment is working, making sure that we get set up for their experiment, and we work together to make sure that their experiment is a success. Now, we run this facility 24 hours a day, but I cannot work 24 hours a day. So I make sure that I work with the people that are here, the visitors coming from other universities and other companies from around the world, to do their science and make sure that what they get is as good as can be done. Because they only get to use this for like 2-3 days at a time, and then another group will come in and I'll help the next group. So one of the things that I find really exciting about this is that I'm able to work with scientists who are experts in so many things that I'm not an expert in. One example was, like, in high school, I really was not very excited about biological sciences. I found it kind of boring, a lot of memorizing, and it was really just not as exciting as doing math and physics that I was better at. And what I found, here is that now I've actually done some really good cutting-edge biology by working with some great biologists and using beam lines like this to be able to study living cells, for example, or studying tissues from brains and trying to understand diseases better. So it's been really exciting to be able to work with people from all around the world doing lots and lots of different types of science that I'm not normally an expert in. And so that's really a fun thing for me and makes my days exciting. So just to continue my day, I make sure that they're working okay. I make sure that the next user's experiment is getting set up okay for in a few days when they arrive. I'm sometimes answering emails and talking with people who were here in the last weeks to help them understand what their measurements told them. And I help then write the papers, help give some advice on the next bunch of users that will come take the experiments here. And then I also do a bunch of like boring meetings, just things that are important to keep going with a big facility like this, where I supervise other people, I work on safety, I work on some management things, we worry about budgets, just some boring stuff like that. And so that will take up some of my day as well, as I'll have meetings with other managers and talk about what's going on. Then at the end of the day, I'll go home. I'll let the users stay here and keep doing their experiments all night. And I try to make it so that they don't have to call me in the middle of the night when something breaks. And then hopefully they'll be able to continue their experiments all night. Occasionally I will get a call late at night, and I'll either be able to help them quickly or not, and then we'll just fix whatever the problem is in the next day if that's the case. Okay, let me look at a few more of your questions and I'll walk over to a different beamline to answer that. So here I am sitting at one of the beamlines that I helped build, one of the infrared beamlines, and this is doing infrared spectroscopy on things as tiny as 10 nanometers, which is crazy small. That's only about 100 atoms across. Anyway, that's one of the really unique things we can do here. One of the questions you guys asked is what skills are important for my job, and I would say some of the skills that you might not immediately think of are being kind of a people person. I need to be able to work with lots and lots of different types of people from all over the world, and being able to understand kind of what their problems are scientifically, what can help them get their experiments done, but even just things like, when they travel here, where's the hotel? How do they, rent a car? What do they do to come and make their experiments here successful? And so that's, a little bit of a different skill set, I would say, and being able to just help the people, just as people and colleagues to come and have a successful time. One of the other questions you asked is about using reading, writing, math, science skills. So of course my science skills play in all the time, talking about the science that we're doing here. But you might also be a little surprised that writing and speaking skills are extremely important in science. Everything that we do ends up getting published or given as talks that you give at conferences and other sorts of meetings. And so one of the skills that's actually been really important is being able to give a good talk and be able to write a good paper, write a summary of what you are working on so that other people can read it and actually understand what science did you do, why is it important, why should anybody else care? And being able to write that down in a clear way is actually a skill that is not every scientist has. It is something that has really served me well. I think back to some of the schoolwork I did in high school and college, where I had to write papers on books I read for an English class, and that was not my favorite thing to do at the time, but really those skills have served me very well to be able to write a good scientific paper now. All right, so I hope you've enjoyed this brief little tour. Let me see if there's one more question I can answer. Just a sec. What elective activities or volunteer activities might you do if you're interested in being a scientist, similar to me? I would say the best things to do are just to learn something. And so that could be about how to program a computer. It could be how to, it could be reading about certain types of science. It could be volunteering at a place that does some kind of science, or even just like a school science fair. Helping talk to people about what they're doing, what type of science they're doing is super interesting. I really enjoy going to an elementary school science fair and talking to the kids about the science projects that they chose and what they're working on. That is really a lot of fun to see what interests them. and to tell them a little bit about something that they don't necessarily know. There's that they have good questions about space or about things they've heard of that are related to science that usually I know more than they do. And so even if it has nothing to do with what type of science that I do, I can usually give an answer that's pretty interesting, and then I can help point them to the right direction for where to find more information. So as you get a little bit older, you can look for opportunities to actually volunteer work, do like internships and things like this, and once you're in college and higher, at big facilities like this place, at one of the national labs, at a company that does scientific work, lots of different things like that. But I would say basic skills of being able to write well helps, so you can write a good letter to introduce yourself, being able to do things like program a computer somewhat, and so what that could look like changes all the time. But are you able to edit a video? Are you able to write in an actual programming language? Are you able to use ChatGPT effectively in nice ways to be able to program something in Python? What types of skills excite you? Is it a robotics kind of thing where you can work on a robotics team and make something actually move around and do something? We end up hiring people that are good at that all the time, because you might imagine that some of our experiments are complex and need motors to move and need things to actually adjust precisely and fast, so we can do as many experiments as possible to get our science done. So we do hire people that have good skills in programming and robotics and engineering just generally. So being able to design something, build something is really a great skill. All right, thanks a lot for listening. It's been a pleasure to virtually meet some of you, and I hope you enjoy. Take care.